Hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. I'm Shayla, and I'm very excited for today's video because we are planning my cross-country move from Los Angeles to New York City. I've been living in LA for almost 14 years, and at some point in 2020, I started to feel really disconnected from Los Angeles, uninspired by my space here, and I can get into all of that in a separate video. Maybe I'll do that if you're interested. And then on top of that, someone moved into the apartment underneath me who has been an absolute nightmare. Maybe this new person moving in who's really loud, again, is a sign that it's time for me to move. If you've watched my vlogs over the past 6 to 8 months, you already are well aware of the situation, so I'm not going to get into it now. But all of these things really started to light a fire within me to move. And I wasn't really sure where. I looked in Orange County, that's where I grew up. I looked around in LA, and I wasn't vibing with anything. And then the New York trip happened that changed everything. And it's interesting because I wasn't going to New York to go and look at apartments. I was going to New York to try to shift my energy in hopes of coming back and manifesting the right place here. I just don't know what to do. I'm looking for apartments. I'm trying to do, I just don't know. I'm like,
Sheila, why don't you go on a trip? Maybe the energy is just stuck, and if you go away for a couple days, take a week and just go. What about Danny in New York?
And what was meant to be an energy shifting trip evolved into a life-changing trip. New York has never been on my radar as a place that I have wanted to live. However, while I was in New York, I just felt this intuitive nudge that there was something for me there and that I was meant to live there.
This is the moment that I just decided that I will be moving to New York. Shut up! I swear on my life! Mark my words!
And that's honestly a whole thing in itself, because moving across the country when I have such a solid group of friends and my mom is here, huge community here, that is not easy. I do know a handful of people in New York, but I've really grown roots here in LA, and the thought of moving 3,000 miles away sounds hard and challenging and possibly out of reach, but I could not ignore the constant signs that were pointing towards New York, nor could I ignore the deep inner knowing that that is where I was meant to be. So as soon as I got home from my trip in November, I started looking online and researching apartments, and I was still looking at apartments here in LA as well, just really exploring all of my options, and I really made the choice to just let my intuition lead the way, and I put my trust in the universe and really just said, if this is meant for me, let it be easy and let it be flowy and let it all fall into place. And boy, did it. I full on manifested this move. The apartment that I ended up going with is the apartment that was on my vision board. You can't make this shit up. Hold on, let's rewind for a second. I decided to go back to New York in January to double check if the vibes were still right for me, and also to look at apartments. And I ended up touring 18 apartments while I was there. I am in New York apartment hunting. I vlogged the entire process. If you missed that video, I will link it below. I ended up going with one of the buildings that I toured in that video, so definitely check that out. And once you do, comment below which apartment you think I went with. I'm really curious to hear what you think. I'll do the big reveal once I move in. But once I decided on the building, there were no openings. And that was a whole other challenge to tackle in itself, because I was dead set on this building. I knew from the moment that I walked in and the moment that I toured the apartments, I'm gonna live here. And I truly manifested it. I used my tried and true method that I teach and share in the Yoga Inspired Life program, which is my 12-week yoga inspired self-discovery program. And I just made it my mission to manifest this apartment. And the last 2 months have been filled with aligning my energy, cleaning out my space, and acting as if. I actually have a whole episode on this method on my podcast, the Yoga Inspired Life podcast. I will also link that below. And it's wild because the building actually offered me 2 other apartments before I ended up landing this one. And they were so close to what I was looking for, but they weren't exactly it. And the part of me that still dabbles in that lack mentality really wanted to say yes and jump on it because I'm eager and excited to get there. But I had to make the choice to stick to what I want and have trust and faith that the universe will deliver what I want. And so I ended up turning down those 2 other apartments, and it was really hard for me, and it was, anxiety inducing, because I kept asking myself, like, am I making the right choice? Am I missing out on being able to go? I don't want to stay in my current place longer. It was just a lot of up and down and back and forth, but I stayed true to what I wanted. It hasn't happened yet. but I'm holding out hope and trusting that what is meant for me will not pass me by. On top of that, they actually emailed me about my apartment, and by the time I got back to them, it was already taken off the market. Not even 24 hours later. Somebody put a deposit down on it and they applied. And then a week later, they called. They called to let me know that the application fell through.
Are you excited?
I applied, and then I finally heard back a couple days ago that I was approved. I just got an email invoice from you guys.
Yes, because everything's approved.
Yay! Oh my gosh! And I will be leaving for New York in less than 50 days, which is mind-blowing and so exciting. So that's the story about the apartment. There's been so many signs and really cool things that have just fallen into place as far as what I'm gonna do with my car, because I have a current car lease, which I'll fill you in on that in a future video. I've been selling my furniture. Furniture update. The mirror is about to be picked up, and they're picking up the coffee table, the cabinet, and the lamps. It's all happening. It's time to part with my plants. Plants are going to a new home, my mom's house. And I've been just preparing for this moment, and this moment is finally here, and I officially have an apartment in New York City. Now that we are through that story time and the update, moving in general is a lot, but moving across the country is like on a whole nother level. So I thought that I would kind of take you through how I'm planning my move, so that hopefully if any of you are wanting to move to New York City or move across the country to somewhere, you can kind of use this as inspiration for your own journey. Obviously, the first thing you need to do is find an apartment, which I share about that in my apartment tour video. I need to think about all the other things that I need to do. I have my notebook, and we are just gonna make a list because there's so much happening in my head right now that I just need to get it all out on paper. Number one, we need to sign the lease documents, which they are sending over. I need to book my one-way flight, and then I'm booking my mom a round-trip flight because I'm flying her out to go with me. So book flights. Oh, and I need to call the airline because I'm flying with the dogs for the first time. By the way, have any of you ever flown with dogs? I've never flown with my dogs before. If you have any tips, please leave me a comment. Oh, I also need to book a hotel because we are flying in a few days before my move-in date because I need to do a pre-move-in walkthrough with the building manager. So I'm gonna get a hotel for my mom and I for a few days before my move-in date. So I need to do that. I actually need to schedule the pre-move-in walkthrough. I already decided on a moving company. I decided to go with Roadway, and I put a deposit down on them already to hold a spot for me in May, but I need to call them and actually bump that back to the end of April and get the move pickup date scheduled. If my move-in date is May 1st, that's a Sunday, and they give a delivery window of 6 to 17 days, which let us all say a prayer that it's in 6 days and not 17 days. Maybe I'll have them come April 25th. I need to sell my car. I need to cancel my car insurance. I need to give my building 30 days notice. Cancel my internet and utilities here. Ooh, I need to do an address change form on USPS so that all my mail will get forwarded to my new address. I need to cancel my gym membership, change my address on my renter's insurance. I still have a couple of pieces of furniture that I want to sell, although I have sold quite a few pieces. Gather up items for garage sale, because my mom's community is doing a garage sale at the end of April, which is perfect right before I move, and we're going to take part in it. So I'm just going to bring down anything that I don't sell beforehand on Craigslist or Poshmark down there, and hopefully just get rid of everything at the garage sale. Speaking of which, I still have some items up on Poshmark that I need to sell, but I also think that I want to do another purge of my apartment. My clothes, my closets, and all that stuff. I've done quite a few rounds over the last few months, but it's game time now. I mean, that's a pretty hefty list. We've got 16 things happening here that need to get done. I also would really love to start ordering furniture so that it's delivered shortly after my move-in, because I've been hearing there's a lot of delivery issues with furniture. I've been sleeping on my mattress on the floor for like 4 months because I've known that I'm moving and I didn't want to buy anything until I moved. So it'd be nice to like have a couch and a bed and all of that stuff shortly after moving in. So I do want to look at furniture and kind of come up with a plan. I did something crazy this morning. Well, not crazy. Maybe it's not crazy. I actually think it's brilliant, but I feel like some people might think it's a little crazy. One of my best friends, Brooke, who actually moved to New York a year ago, told me to do this. She's so smart. So I got the measurements of my new bedroom and I measured it out in my room here and like taped tape to where the edge of the wall will be. That is the size of my new bedroom. That way I can measure out like a bed frame and nightstands and all of that stuff. Please ignore the state of my house. It is a mess. But I actually did it in my living room as well. So that will be the size of my living room to this little line and to this line here. I also taped out a couch that I was thinking about getting, but it literally says estimated delivery date not until sometime in July, and I don't want to wait that long for a couch. So I think I need to look at couches again. I was just looking at my email and the building just sent the lease documents, which means we can tick one thing off our list, read through that and sign those and make it official. Lease documents are signed. That was a lot though, like 55 pages. But at least now we can cross that off our list. That feels good. I think I can tick another thing off my list right now too and call the movers and see if I can schedule them in. Now that I have a move-in date, we can try and schedule that in. Is there any way that we can schedule the pickup for April 25th? Another thing ticked off our list. If you know me well, you know that I love nothing more than ticking things off a list. Now I need to schedule the pre-move-in walkthrough. I also just called my mom and got confirmation from her that she is totally okay with heading to New York on April 28th. So that means I can do the walkthrough on hopefully the 29th. I'm gonna email the building manager back because she already emailed me asking about a date. And so then once I nail that down, then we will look at flights and a hotel. My car, I pretty much have sorted out, but that I'm not going to deal with until next month. So that'll probably be in a later vlog. Same thing with my internet and utilities. I'll cancel that next month. Okay, we've moved on to looking at flights and looking at hotels. My clean out game and purge game is real. I'm trying to pare down my belongings as much as possible so that I'm not moving with a bunch of stuff that I don't need. And I really, really know that there's more that I can do, which is shocking because I feel like I've already gotten rid of so much, but there's more that can go. But we're gonna have to do that tomorrow because right now we're gonna go to a workout. Relieve some stress and just get some good vibes flowing, you know?
Elbows, hands, elbow body day, we're working it on.
That workout literally kicked my butt and I'm starving. I made a vegan shepherd's pie yesterday, so I'm gonna pop that in the oven and I'm gonna take a little bath and chill for the night, and then we will continue our prep for moving to New York City. If you watch my vlogs, then you already know that this is my favorite bubble bath. It is so freaking good. Good morning. We are back at it. My tasks for today are to book flights, book the hotel, and do an apartment purge. First and foremost, I think we should try to book these flights so that we can lock in a good rate for those. A couple of people have told me to book on American Airlines, that they are pretty dog friendly, as well as JetBlue, but I think I'm gonna go with JetBlue because with American Airlines, you have to call the airline ahead of time about the dogs, and I did try to call this morning and I was on hold for an incredibly long time. And JetBlue, you can actually do it on their app. And I'm back on American Airlines because the only JetBlue flight leaving the airport that my mom and I are leaving from is run by American Airlines. And I can't do the pet add-on on JetBlue because it's an American Airlines flight.
Thank you for choosing American Airlines.
Still could not get through to anyone at American Airlines, but hopefully they will call me back. I did like the little automated callback thing. So while we wait for that callback, I think now is a great time to start another round of decluttering. I feel like I have done this at least 3 to 5 times in the last couple months, but as I said yesterday, it is game time. Literally just gonna put on a podcast and get to work. Update. We got through to American Airlines, which is great. And to be honest, once I was actually able to speak to someone, it really wasn't that difficult. So I have booked my one-way ticket, holy crap, as well as my mom's. If you are traveling with dogs, just a heads up, there's only one dog per seat booked. If I'm flying by myself, I'd have to purchase an additional seat so that I could bring my second dog with me. So that's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And as far as what I gathered, it's typically a standard fee of $100 to $125 to bring on your dog per seat. And then before you actually book your ticket, so if you are flying with dogs, don't book it online because you have to call the airline first and make sure that they have room for the pet in the cabin because they're only allowed to accept a certain amount of pets per cabin, which is why I had to call to book the ticket. Another couple things to keep in mind is that the pet has to be under 20 pounds with the carrier. And then you also need to bring a certificate of good health from your vet just to show that they are healthy enough to fly. So that means I need to add another thing on our list, which is to make a vet appointment for both dogs. And apparently it has to be within 10 days of travel. We gotta do that. And I also have to make sure that I bring their vaccination records with me. On another note, I do not know where I got so much stuff. I feel like I don't have a lot of stuff and now I'm cleaning things out. I say this every single time, but I'm cleaning things out and I have so much stuff. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm gonna continue organizing, cleaning, and purging. Update, hotel has been booked and I've somehow made a bigger mess of my apartment than it was before. I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't do well in chaos and mess. And the state of my apartment right now is both of those things. I've gotta live here for at least another month. What am I gonna do? I'm trying to think of like if I should just try and put all of this in my closet so that I don't have to see it, because honestly, seeing it gives me anxiety. And I'm trying to not put it over here because I want to use this space to like measure out furniture because I've taped the measurements of my new space, you know? So I think what I'm gonna do is, I have this white shelf in here, not sturdy at all, and it's not even worth trying to sell because it barely stands up on its own. So what I think I'm gonna do is take this out and toss it. Or you know what I actually think I'm gonna do instead? I think since in my mirrored closet, I have stuff that I want to pack and bring with me in there. And so just to not confuse myself as well as to not confuse the movers, I have this other closet here, but I just store like extra paper towels and toilet paper, my vacuum, dog food. I'm going to take all of this stuff out that I'm gonna keep and put that all in the other closet with the rest of the stuff that I'm keeping / taking with me, and put all of the things that I want to sell or that I'm taking with me to the garage sale all in this closet so I can just keep it all together. Topo Chico. Update, it's a couple days later. I've got a few more things ticked off the list, which is great. And I'm about to post some more items on my Poshmark. And tomorrow we're gonna do some online furniture shopping and measuring and stuff like that, I think. It's time to measure and to really look at furniture for my new place. I'm feeling very festive today in my sweatshirt. I pretty much have a good idea of what I want, but I did start a board on Pinterest to kind of gather up ideas and inspo and just like really come up with a color palette that I want and the vibe. And I was able to get a floor plan with measurements from my building. So I know the measurements of the space, and then I already mentioned this to you, but I measured out my living room as well as my bedroom and my current space, and then I used tape to tape it out so that I can get a better idea of the size of the space, because numbers on a piece of paper just don't do much for me. I'm not gonna lie, numbers are not my strong suit. I'm a very visual person, so taping out the space has been very helpful for me. And since I already have my mood board put together, I basically know the kind of pieces that I'm looking for. It's time to measure things out, tape things out, and see how it's all going to fit and try to make some decisions. my tape off the ground? Why are you taking my tape off the ground? Literally chewing the tape off the ground. Do not chew that anymore. You're a naughty girl. You're a naughty girl. Feeling pretty confident about a few of the pieces that I found. However, the couch is seeming like it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. I'm just having a really hard time finding the style of couch that I want and the size that I want that will come in a reasonable amount of time that is also within my budget. So at this point, I'm gonna have to handle that on another day. I need to think about a few more things and do some more research. With that being said, I think I'm gonna end this vlog here because I think that I've done pretty much everything that I can do as far as move goes right now, aside from ordering furniture and such. And since I'm kind of at a standstill with that, I think I will include that in the next Plan With Me moving to New York vlog. And at that point, I will also tackle the rest of the stuff that is on my moving to-do list because that is stuff that I have to do closer to the move date. So if there's anything that you want to know about or any questions that you have that you want me to include in the next Plan With Me video, definitely leave me a comment below and let me know. I'm happy to include it. Otherwise, if you're not subscribed already, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button because I upload a new video every single week. If you're into moving, planning, prepping, New York City content, you're gonna wanna subscribe because that is pretty much what my life is going to be revolving around for the foreseeable future. You're in for a lot of that stuff if that is your vibe. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm at Shayla Quinn. I also have a TikTok. I am at Shayla.Quinn on TikTok. You can also listen to my podcast, the Yoga Inspired Life podcast, that is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be beginning this move journey finally, and I'm so excited to be taking you along with me. I just can't wait. It's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video.